Hi there guys, welcome to Fractions of Fractions. Little catchphrase here is just use simple times table to find these. They're times tables you will know. It's just a question of being able to imagine the fraction of a fraction to understand the problem being asked and then choosing the right times table. It always helps to think about food. So the example we're going to have here is 1/3 of half. Now, another way of phrasing this is to say that we have 1/3 times 1/2. That would be the exact same thing. The word of and times with fractions is the same. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if I want to know what 1/3 of a half is, actually what I need to do is start by splitting it in half. So here is my half, nice and easy. Then I would need to take one of these halves. So let's imagine I'm sharing this with you, this chocolate bar. So you're going to take away your half of the chocolate bar, and you're going to split this into thirds. I'm not going to get this perfectly equal, but it's pretty close. So if that's all I'd done, how many pieces would I have altogether, and what would you call that fraction of this one piece? Okay, so what we want to know is just the fraction of one of those pieces. What is 1/3, just 1/3 of this half? Here's my half, here's the third of a half. How many pieces is that altogether? Now, if I was just to continue to do that across the other bits and split this half in 3 as well, I would end up with a total of 6 pieces. And if I had 6 pieces, then I know that one of those pieces would be called 1/6. What I really want you to just notice now is how the times tables are connected to that fractions problem, right? And you may have noticed there's a 3 of 2, 3 of 2 gives us 6. And in some cases, when we've times fractions or something like that, you might get the top numbers are added or subtracted, or the bottom's the one that changes. And in this case, it's the bottom one, because actually what we're changing is not the total number of pieces, we're changing the size of the slices. So in this story I created where you and I share the chocolate, I got half, you got half, and you took your half home. And when you got there were 2 siblings or 2 of your family members also wanted some. So there were 3 of you and 2 other family members. So you had to break that piece of chocolate into thirds. So 1/3 of a half is 1/6. I've got a bunch here for you to now have a look at and attempt to do. They are all just written out as a problem like this: half of a half, 1/4 of a third. You may need to draw some. You might draw a couple and then go, I can just totally see how these work out now. It really helps with fractions to not just look at the symbols. It's more than just a bunch of symbols. It really comes back to what would that look like in a story. And so I've got 2 stories here for you to finish with. I finished with a morbid joke about whether or not your dog will die. So hopefully, by the way, don't feed your dog Easter eggs. If you have any trouble with how times tables are applied here, please send me an email. And just to remember, it is about just identifying what the times table is. In this case, 3 times 2. And what seemed like a really tricky problem is actually a really basic times table. Thanks, guys. Over and out. If I can find the out.